This is Grunt Squad, brought to you in the studio of Wiley Productions, with Sam Mann and Nate Westlake, bringing you all the spreads, picks, and player props.
Welcome in to the Grunt Squad.
Grunt Squad?
Week 5, Episode 4. I'm your host, Sam Mann, and today my co-host, Blake Farver.
That's right.
Blake, so happy to have you here. Nate is coming back, but he's off this week, so we're bringing Blake on today. Blake, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you and I know one another and all that jazz?
Yeah, I mean, what are we going? We're 17 years strong now. We've known each other 17 years. That's wild to think about because time just flies. That's more than half my life. Like, it's wild.
Sharing your age a little bit.
You too. I'm sharing yours.
That is
not exactly. I just said more than. So
you're not wrong.
Yeah, I know.
It's true.
I know. Just like I was not wrong in a lot of the fantasy picks I made this week. But anyway, about myself, that's what we're talking about right now. We'll get to that, I guess. I mean, we've known each other since you were in 9th grade. I was in 8th grade. A lot of the same interest, groups that we were in together, played on the same football team, worship team. Both of our parents were involved at the church. Your dad was the worship pastor. My mom played piano. She was a choir teacher. You were in choir. We were both in choir, like all of that stuff.
All on purpose, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But best friends by accident.
That is accurate.
Yeah.
Yes.
And just the more as we've become adults and, had similar interests throughout our life, we're just very passionate about sports, both having multiple kids each and, just all the stuff. It's crazy because I haven't, been super connected with a whole lot of people from high school, but we've stayed connected through all the years. So it's really cool.
It's awesome. And this is something that you and I have talked about for a super long time. And to see it come to fruition is such a cool, like, full circle moment.
For sure.
Well, let's talk about some things that caught our attention on the positive end this week in the sport of the NFL. Jared Goff freaking crushed it this week.
That's my dude.
20 for 28, 236, 3 touchdowns, rush for 1. Detroit's offense looks good. Their team looks good. How do you feel?
Yeah, I mean, first thing that comes to my mind, like, what a beneficial trade for both teams when Goff got traded from the Rams to the Lions. I mean, you think about the position that it put the Rams, who were ready to win right then. They got their Super Bowl, and Jared Goff, what a win for him. He's thriving in Detroit ever since he got traded there. He's been, one of the better quarterbacks in the league. And now the Lions are starting to climb that same mountain. So I think it's just like, what a win-win. And you don't see that a whole lot in the league anymore, where you have a win-win trade situation, because trades are so few and far between nowadays with, especially quarterbacks, but, top-notch players in the league. So I think that is super beneficial for both teams so far. And the Lions look really good. I mean, You were calling them.
I mean, I think they have a legitimate shot this year. As you're talking about the ascension of Detroit, I mean, they're gonna run into some brick walls. But if they get hot and they continue this run, they're gonna put themselves in a position to be there.
Right, and their division is weak this year too. So I mean, they're far and above the favorites to win that division, and probably just because their schedule's not super difficult. They're gonna vie for that number 1 seed in the NFC this year. It's gonna come down to them, the Eagles, possibly the Cowboys, but I don't know. Well, they're just so up and down. We don't really know what to think of them yet. So what do you think?
I know what I think about the Cowboys.
Well, not the Cowboys, but what do you think about their shots going forward to get a number 1 seed and get that first round bye?
I think they do get the first round bye.
Over the Eagles?
It's a hot take, but that's how I feel. I don't think the Eagles are locked up this year. I think they're 5-0, and they could easily be 3-2.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of one-score games, a lot of games where they've looked sloppy. The play calling, new offensive coordinator, play calling's been suspect to what we are accustomed to seeing with the Eagles, especially last year, where that offense was just like you just pick your poison with them. Like, are they gonna pull the play action and pull the ball and throw it over the top to AJ Brown or Devontae Smith, or are they just gonna run it with Sanders or Gainwell or Boston Scott, or is Jalen gonna keep it himself? That offensive line is one of the best, if not the best, offensive lines in the league. Like, they were so. I think they're just still trying to get used to.
They're gonna figure it out for sure. It's at the end of the day though, talent's gonna win out. So as much as I want to say that Detroit's gonna come out and do it, they probably won't because I said it and jinxed them. So.
Yeah, I mean, they have an easier schedule. That's the only thing that I would say is going for Detroit is their schedule is easier, but they're no slouch. I mean, it's not saying that they can't just do it anyway, no matter who they're playing. I mean, they've proved it. They went in and beat the reigning Super Bowl champs on opening night with the Super Bowl ceremony at Arrowhead. Like, it's just they did it. Like, so. You can do that in that environment, then I'm going to give you a shot to contend.
It's going to be fun to watch.
It will be.
Well, let's talk about somebody else who's usually not on this side of the segment, and that's Desmond Ridder. 28 for 37, 329, touchdown rush for 1-2. Is this a one-off, or is this did they figure it out?
Great game, buddy.
That's it.
Yeah, I mean, that whole draft class is just like, blech. Like, but especially the fact that he's going to have to play two top in the NFC, if not top in the league defensive. He's going to have to play the Saints defense twice, and the Bucs defense twice, which Todd Bowles is dialing it up right now with that Bucs defense. They're one of the best defenses in the league, not necessarily in takeaways, but just in general with everything that he's doing right now, Todd Bowles. And to think that at the beginning of the year, he was probably on the hot seat. So
he definitely was.
Yeah, and I honestly, I was an advocate for him to get fired. But anyway, that's neither here nor there to what we're specifically talking about now. But I mean, Desmond Ridder, glad he had a good game, but it's not going to last. I mean, you were even saying conversation with Arthur Smith's play calling.
I mean, I've always said, and look. They had Mariota before. They have Ridder now. They haven't really had a guy that could go in there and that has proven that they can throw the ball accurately, consistently.
Since Matt Ryan.
Right. But it's nice to see that maybe there's a glimpse of, we've got talent. You've got Kyle Pitts. You've got Drake London. And don't forget about Jonnu Smith. Yeah. Oh.
Kyle Pitts just needs a different situation, I think, to see what he can actually do. But I don't know. I don't like their skills guys. I like Bijan, and that's about it. I'm not a huge Drake London fan yet, but I think it's also fair to say that they haven't really gotten, a good look with a quarterback that they know is like, okay, this guy is one of, top 10 quarterbacks that can, put the ball. And plus, like you said, again, with the play calling, it's just,
regardless of the game script, they're going to be in there. That Arthur Smith wants to run the ball.
Yeah.
So whether it's it's Bijan's backfield at this point, but either whether it's him or Algier, it doesn't matter. That's what they want to do. Right. So let's talk about Brock Purdy, who apparently yes. Yes.
Look at that.
I'm telling you, I do too.
Mine's this. Brock Purdy.
He's pretty good.
Top 5 in the league.
17 for 24, 252, 4 tutties. What do we think about the game against the Cowboys? It felt like a game where the 49ers are playing chess and the Cowboys were playing checkers. I mean, yeah. It was bad.
I mean, the 49ers are head and shoulders better than any team in the NFL right now as it sits. I don't think that there's anybody that's going to give – like if there was a Super Bowl to be played this week, I think the 49ers win by 2 scores at least. I just don't think that there's anybody that can keep up with them both sides of the ball. I don't think anybody's going to be able to move the ball on that Niners defense. It is absolutely stout. And it gives opportunity for a super talented offense to do whatever they want. I mean, the playbook is wide open when you're playing with a lead. And how often has Brock Purdy had to play from behind when healthy? I mean, he's 10-0 as a regular season starter now. It's crazy, and I will definitely go out and say put me on the list of one that's going to say that if he doesn't get hurt, the 49ers win the Super Bowl last year.
I agree with you there, and we don't agree on much, but
No.
but I think the 49ers are, like you said, head and shoulders above. They're definitely number one in my power rankings.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like I said, that like we touched on before, the Eagles do not look the same. They're going to figure it out, but they don't look the same as of today.
Right.
You've got a handful of other teams that could give them a run for their money, but at this point, it's all San Francisco.
Yeah.
Joe Burrow, great bounce back week. This was a must win for them, 36 for 46, 317, 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, needed that for sure. I mean, do you think that he is back, or do you think that he's still, I mean, he's still dealing with an injury, but I just wonder, like, how much is that injury progressing, and when can we say, okay, it's not the injury anymore?
I mean, I think since he's been in the league, he's never been healthy.
Right.
I mean, every single year coming in to each and every, it's always something.
So then what's the problem this year?
I mean, who knows? I mean, I think, when you have a guy that plays at an elite level week in and week out, you're going to give your team an opportunity to get out there and do what needs to be done. Look, Joe Cool, as they called him at LSU,
Right.
I mean, he gets it done. And so when you've got guys like Jamar Chase and T. Higgins when healthy, and you've got guys that can, go down the length of the field and crush it.
So let me ask you this then: Do you think that it has been a question of is Zach Taylor tailoring, no pun intended, his offense to protect Joe Burrow, or do you think it's more the injury has been affecting the way that they're calling the plays?
I think this year it has more to do with the injury.
Okay, because a lot of their play calling has been just dink and dunk. We're not driving the ball down the field like we have in the past. We're not taking deep shots. But this last week they did. And look at the success that they had this last week. So is it because he's getting more healthy, like he's starting to become more of what he is? Or, is it?
I think it's a combination of the two.
Yeah.
I think it's a combination of the play calling in addition to this was let's just play free and do what we do best.
Yeah.
Which is just give Jamar the ball.
And that's what I think that they have to do going forward is get the ball to your best player. I mean, that's what the Vikings have done with Justin Jefferson, throwing it into triple coverage, and he's going up making one-handed grabs. Like, it's just you got to find a way to give him a shot because he's that talented that he's going to go and he's going to make plays.
For sure. Well, let's talk about some running backs that did well. Let's talk about, unfortunately, the Devon Achane, Raheem Mostert dynamic net. We just found out this morning, right before we started recording, Devon Achane is on the IR.
Possible, but probable.
Right.
Yeah.
So he still went 11 for 151 in the touchdown. I mean, you can't beat that efficiency. I mean, he's just so fast.
He's incredibly fast, and Tyreek has even gone out to say that's one dude I don't want to challenge to a race, and we know how fast Tyreek Hill is. So, I mean,
I think if you put me on the line with them, that I might be able to beat him.
no, but that's fine for you. I mean, he's going to beat you bear crawling, then you're going to.
That's the fear that I'm going to put in Devon Achane when I'm on the line.
Yeah, no, he can probably run backwards faster. No, I would say bear crawl faster than you can run straight forward.
Okay, so that's hurtful.
Yeah, but it's the truth. Sometimes you just got to be straight up and truthful.
It's probably true. Actually.
And yeah, and that is factual, and we should call him up and see if he wants to do it.
Call him up.
Yeah,
Let's go. I'm in.
Let's run it.
No, pun intended.
Yeah.
No, but I tell you what, both guys are super, super talented, him and Raheem both.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at the split backfield that they have, we were talking about this earlier. Devon's got the speed. Raheem's got more of the brunt. He still went 10 for 65 and a touchdown. I think they're going to be fine even with him out. I mean, Raheem's proven that he can carry the workload
Yeah.
at that point, and they've got enough speed between Tyreek and Jalen Waddle. Smythe getting more usage too. So I mean, and Tua's doing his thing.
Yeah, their offense is definitely not the concern. Is their defense going to be able to get it done long term this year, because that's really what's going to hold them back from taking the next step to being that elite team that could probably challenge somebody like San Francisco.
No doubt, no doubt. Well, we want to take this moment to thank Wicked Pecker Off Road for sponsoring today's episode, and we thank always for what they do and what they bring to the table for all your off-road accessory and needs. So let's talk about some whiteouts that absolutely killed it this week.
Let's talk about some wideouts that crushed it this week.
Oh,
Samuel,
jeez.
where are we going to start? Go
I
ahead.
wanted to skip this segment so bad.
Oh,
I just wanted to skip it.
Let's go there.
So, in case you guys are wondering, Blake and I did play each other this week in fantasy, and
Yeah, we did.
someone won, and someone did not win.
Yeah, it was not pretty.
Yeah, congratulations, sir.
Thank you.
You deserve the W.
Yes,
and,
thank you. I know I did. I want to thank all of the people that recorded the clapping to give me my applause today, and that's going to give some applause to some of the receivers that we had on our team this week.
One you didn't have, but that killed it, was DJ Moore, 8 for 10, 230 yards,
Yeah, eating crow a little bit on that one.
3 touchdowns. Yeah.
From last week.
I tell you, so do you think that Justin Fields has figured it out? Do you think this offense has figured it out? Or do you think, how do you feel about the situation?
Man, no, I don't think that they've figured it out yet. Because right now a lot of the yards that DJ Moore had were all yards after catch. Like a lot of them. Like they were just like 5 to 10 yard throws, and DJ would break a couple tackles and run 60 yards up the sideline for a touchdown. I just really wish that Justin Fields would focus more on making the right decisions as a quarterback instead of being more of a YouTube quarterback that's looking for views, because I feel like a lot of the time he's just trying to be the Flash and make all these plays and do this, that, and the other, and he just needs to make the right decisions.
I mean, I think in space, I feel that when he's doing the RPO type stuff, that's where he shines. I don't think naturally, as we've seen, large sample size,
Not a great thrower.
he hasn't been a pocket passer.
Yeah.
So you get him in space, allow the players to make plays, to get open, to like you said, out in space, get DJ Moore out in space, and he's going to he can take it to the house on any play.
Right. I don't think that the Bears are very good.
Their defense is
very bad, which is
atrocious.
sad because like that's what the Chicago Bears have been known for forever. Like that's their defense. They're not ever going to be flashy on offense. I mean, who name an elite offensive player from the Bears last 20 years?
Matt Forte, right? That's about
basically it. And he, I mean, fantasy wise, yes, but he wasn't somebody that you're going to put in the conversation with some of the elite athletes nowadays.
He was relevant for 2 or 3 years, but outside of that, yeah, you're absolutely right. Another guy that crushed it, which we talked on a little bit already, Jamar Chase.
Oh yeah,
15 for 19, 192 and 3 touchdowns.
19 targets.
Yeah, give the guy the ball, man.
Yeah,
he's gonna
throw it up to him. He'll make a play. He'll make you look good.
Someone you did have, old man Adam Thielen.
Yes, sir. Adam, thank you for the applause. Yeah, my boy.
Yeah, 11 for 13, 107 and a touchdown. Yeah, he's
another double-digit target week for him.
It's crazy. It's crazy. So we were talking about this before. Last year when he was with Minnesota, it looked like that he had lost a step.
Yeah.
He comes into this situation with Bryce Young, and here he is getting all this volume, getting all these targets, and you look at the routes that he's running. He looks good.
Yeah,
I mean, he does.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely their number one option, even when Bryce Young hasn't been on the field. Andy Dalton is giving him the majority of the targets as well. Um, I will say that he's getting a lot of garbage yards too. When they're down double digit scores towards the end of the game, he like yesterday, or I'm sorry, not yesterday, but Sunday, picked up a late deep touchdown when they're down by 20 points. So, but that's part of fantasy as far as fantasy goes. But he is getting all the targets, like 13, like I said before, another double digit target day for him.
Yeah, he looks good. Let's talk about the reemergence, and thank you for coming back on the field, Mr. Cooper Cup.
Yeah.
8 for 12, 118, and a big question for guys that had Cooper or that had Puka Nakua is, could Stafford support both? The answer is yes, based on this week.
Yeah, I mean, and we were talking before, like you think about their receiving core now. I think it's very comparable to the Bengals receiving core. You have your number one is elite, your number two is very, very, very good, and your number three is solid. Like with Cooper Kupp, Puka Nakua, and Tutu Atwell, you got compared to Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd. I mean, I think it's very comparable. Not the same quarterback, obviously, but as far as receiving core itself, I think they're very comparable, and it just tells you. I mean, Cooper Kupp is Matt Stafford's boy, always has been since he got there. Very close friends outside of the game too, so that connection is just very special for them.
Never missed a step. It's like, they brought him back.
Not a snap.
He looks great.
Looks like he's been playing the whole year so far.
He looks good. He looks good and healthy. Some tight ends that killed it. George Kittle, 3 catches. How many touchdowns did he have?
3. Oh wait, he was on my fantasy team. Yeah, that's right.
All right, we're gonna have to change this button at the end of the show because I'm.
Oh, you want the other one? Okay. George Kittle.
Okay, where's the nearest bridge? I'm jumping off this.
George Kittle.
3 for 4, 67, 3 touchdowns.
That's right. All 3 catches.
Yeah, and back to San Francisco's offense. It doesn't matter. You get rid of one guy because CMC didn't have an amazing game. It doesn't matter. You've got all these weapons. Kyle Shanahan's offense, super creative. You've got guys that can all take it to the house on any given play.
Offensive line is
Going to give you all the opportunities to get it done. Dallas Goedert, 8 for 9, 117 and a touchdown. First game where he actually showed. It's like, wow, okay, he's here.
Philly opened up the passing game this week. They really took that next step as far as passing goes in that offense. So that's a good sign that they are trying to like really figure it out because they started airing it. I mean, even A.J. Brown had a good game. He was over 100 yards as well.
Yeah, 6 for 8, 127.
Yeah,
yep.
So your tight end and a receiver both over 100 yards passing. That tells me that they're starting to figure it out a little bit. But good to see Goddard get in the end zone for the first time this year.
And then the number 1 tight end on the season in fantasy, Mr. Sam Laporta. He looks so good.
He does.
I love watching him play.
It's crazy that he's the number 1 tight end. Not a lot of volume this week.
Yeah, the least amount of targets so far this year, 3 for 4, 47, but 2 touchdowns.
Not quite as good as George Kittle this week, but,
Just never going to let it go, man.
No.
Thank goodness I don't have to play you each and every week and hear this. This
but we are in 3 leagues together, so.
Unfortunately. I may be asking for a trade later. Stay tuned.
All right.
Well. But let's talk about some injury news and notes for this week. Khalil Herbert, high ankle sprain, is going to be out for several weeks. How do you think that impacts Chicago's offense moving forward? How do you feel about Rashawn Johnson?
Yeah, I think that he's going to get his shot now. Like all right, you have a chance to be the bell cow here. And I think that he's going to actually be a good tandem with Justin Fields, and they're going to have a lot of good RPO, good zone read type, looks for them going forward. And we're going to see what he's made of. He's looked good so far when he's played. So I think that he's going to get a really good opportunity early in his career to see what he's really made of.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun to watch. Another one that wasn't good, and just this entire team in general. Daniel Jones with the neck injury. What's going on in New York? I mean, there was disgruntlement between him and Brian Dable on the sideline.
Oh yeah.
It there's a disconnect, and we were talking about it earlier. You just want to see him gone.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's no fire. Like I played quarterback in high school, and I'm obviously by no means saying like, well, I have all the experience that I know, like, but I do have experience playing quarterback and what it takes leadership wise to get your team going. You have to have the fire. Like if you don't have a fire as a quarterback, your team's not going to really rally around you. Look at Baker Mayfield is such a good example. He's not the most talented quarterback in the league, but he's got that fire, and his team is going to come and fight for him when he gets in a scrum, when he does.
When he's fighting for his job,
Right.
just like Daniel Jones should be responding too. And
Yeah, and you saw the shot of Dayball going up to him and just like trying to like get him going and slapping the iPad, and Daniel Jones is just like kind of just straight faced the whole time. It's like, it almost seems like he doesn't care, and which I can't say that for somebody, but that's the way it comes across when you're seeing those things. What do you think?
I completely agree. There was so much hope in this offense coming into this year, and then to see it kind of break apart. Like, look, their offensive line sucks. I mean, it just does.
Yeah.
And it's not giving Daniel Jones a ton of time to go through his progressions and to make the right reads and to make the right throws. That being said, you know, without the fire, without the passion, without the sense of urgency, which
Right.
there was a lack of that,
Yeah.
then bad things are going to happen when you don't have that.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's time to start looking at other options.
They paid him all this money, though. What are you going to do?
I mean, they're just gonna have to bite the bullet and pay some of his contract for him to play for another team.
Who would pick him up, though? I mean, who would take on, let's say, half his contract at this point?
Yeah, I mean, you can look at teams that might want to bring him. I mean, I think he's better than Mitch Trubisky, okay? But I think it's going to be a very similar situation to where he was starting for this time, and now he might have to go in and be a backup somewhere, because I don't see him going in and tremendously helping a team that's in need right now. Like, think about the Jets. The Jets need somebody, but I don't see the value in paying the Jets paying somebody that much money for not that big of a jump.
Well, and they've already guaranteed a bunch to Aaron, so it's and they're not. That's something they're not going to do.
Right.
I mean,
So I don't know that there's necessarily a great fit. I think that he can go somewhere like, I mean, Atlanta and these teams and Pittsburgh, that their quarterbacks are just like not great, not really even good, and possibly make a difference. But I don't know. I think he's going to turn into one of those QBs that.
I think he'd be an upgrade from Pickett.
Yeah, but how much of an upgrade? Like, it's not going to be for the money that teams would have to pay.
Right.
I just don't see the value there. So they're going to eventually just have to bite the bullet and pay a big part of his contract for him to play for somebody else.
Which brings me back. I feel like they're just going to have to eat it.
Right. And they're playing in a division where they have the Eagles and the Cowboys in that division. So they're not going to compete for the division. It might, I hate tanking. I don't like tanking, but it might be time to start thinking, because this quarterback draft class coming up
They're incentivized.
it's very big. I mean,
Yep.
you have a lot of quarterbacks that can come in and make a difference in New York City. Like, well, not New York City, but you know what I'm saying. They play in New Jersey, but in New York, like bright lights. This is Giants, very big franchise, very popular franchise, historical. So, I mean, quarterbacks towards the top of the class right now, you're looking at Caleb Williams possibly. Is he a good fit for New York? They have some weapons. They have good young talent. They just got to fix their offensive line.
Which is why I think they should focus on that first. And I know, like, this draft class it looks at. We could have a whole segment, a whole show on that,
I know.
which we will later, I'm
Yeah.
sure. But Anyway, let's move on from that. Anthony Richardson, grade 3 AC joint sprain, expected to be out a month. Which brings
Let's go.
someone that you've
It's time for Gardner.
yeah, the old Minshew.
Dude, Gardner Minshew is one of the most underrated quarterbacks in the league in general
Why?
because he's comparable to one of the most popular quarterbacks in the league. At least since he has entered the league, his numbers are very comparable to one Dak Prescott. Believe it or not, this Gardner Minshew. You want to talk about somebody that's got fire? That kid's got fire. He brings a fire and a swagger to a team that just like not a whole lot of guys in the league do. And I think that he could be starting for a lot of teams in this league. At least I would say at least 30% of the teams in this league he could be starting for right now, and it would be an upgrade from what they have.
Okay, give me an example. Would you take Gardner Minshew or Derek Carr?
See, that one's close because I don't think that we've really had the opportunity to see Derek Carr completely healthy for an extended period of time in a new offense, in a new system, all of it. So, I mean, he's been hurt, the last 2 weeks, right? So he's only had 3 games to really show what he can do. It's close, but, I mean, I'm also biased because I just love Gardner Minshew. So I would take Gardner Minshew.
And I'm not a fan of Derek Carr, as and anybody who's listened to the show knows at this point. Put Jameis in. That's what I was harping on last week.
It's a whole nother conversation.
It is. Look, at the end of the day, I think Gardner's going to get his opportunity to get out there. Hopefully, lead his teams to some wins because the Colts are not terrible.
Yeah, but it's not going to be in Indianapolis. Like, unfortunately for Gardner, he's going to be the type of guy he's going to be a lot like Taylor Heineke, where he's going to get opportunities as a backup when the starter gets hurt. He's going to go in. He's going to do a great job when he's in.
And then go right back to the backup role.
Yeah, and he's just not going to get the shot. And I think it's so sad because but I also understand, too, you want to bring in these young rookie quarterbacks, these young quarterbacks that are 2-3 year quarterbacks because you're spending the draft capital on them for them to be your franchise guy.
They have to. I mean, and the league is built on guys like that. I mean,
I just wish that one of these teams would just think like, dude, this guy, Gardner Minshew, he wins games. And when he wins games, he puts up like 250 plus yards and a few touchdowns. Like he does a good job of managing the game. Like why don't we build the team in other areas that are hurting and bring this guy in because I don't see him being much different than somebody like Baker Mayfield.
That's a spicy take based on how Baker's been playing so far this year.
Yeah, and he's had an above expectation year so far. I mean, they're not in the meat and potatoes of their schedule yet. They've got a very tough schedule coming up. They got a stretch of games where they play some very tough teams. I mean, I know that they play Buffalo. They still have to play Philadelphia they played Philadelphia already on Monday night. Never mind. But the point is I know that they have to play San Francisco. I mean, those are two very tough teams. And like I said, they're just not in the meat and potatoes of their schedule.
Well, nobody's expecting to go unscathed when you play the 49ers.
Well, right. But point is that they have a tough schedule ahead of them still. I mean, they got the Lions this week. We'll see what happens against the Lions.
Yeah, it should be interesting to watch. Well, another key injury that everybody's kind of hurting if you own him, if you watch if you watch football in general, is Justin Jefferson. Who we found out's actually going to be on the IR.
That's 1-4.
Stinks.
Is it time to move on, just in general? Not from Justin Jefferson, but as the Vikings, is it time to just kind of rebuild?
I think they have enough talent. I think Kirk Cousins is good enough. I can see the argument of just wanting to completely just cut everything off, trade away, and start fresh and start anew.
I just don't see Justin Jefferson coming back. Like, everything that he went through in the offseason and all that stuff with the contract talks, like, the fact that the Vikings are not just putting up the farm for him to keep him there is he is a generational talent. He's going to go down. He's going to be a definite Hall of Famer. He's going to go down as one of the best receivers of all time, in my opinion. Like, why are you not selling the farm, giving him anything and everything that he wants to keep him there, and then build around him? Like, it just doesn't.
I mean, see what you can get. Shop around. I mean, if you're talking about rebuilding, then you probably can get the farm for him. Somebody's going to pay.
Well, but he's going to be a free agent. So he, like we were talking about before, and we mentioned it briefly earlier in the segment. Like, you don't see teams making these massive blockbuster trades in the NFL like you do the NBA and the MLB. You just don't see it. It's not very common. Or even big free agency moves. A lot of the guys either sign contract extensions before they become free agents, or they like to just re-sign and renegotiate their contract and stay. But players don't like to pick up and move. They don't like to do it.
For their first one. Their second and thirds, you see, a lot of movement there. But yeah,
as they get older,
right?
Yeah, sure. And as they start to decline in their, I mean, name some big name guys that have moved other than OBJ.
It's funny you said that was the first one.
That's somebody that comes to mind. But other than that, like, you just don't see it as often. So my point being, I think with everything that's gone on with Justin Jefferson's contract negotiations just not working out, excuse me, I think that he moves on. And I think Kirk Cousins, how many more years do we have out of him?
Tough to say. I mean, he's been more than serviceable. And honestly, like, you could make the argument that the last few seasons he's actually gotten better, which, he was mid-tier before.
He's had MVP type seasons.
He really has.
So far this year, he's, in my opinion, numbers-wise, MVP candidate. The only thing he has missing is his team's record is not very good.
And you need that for votes.
Sure, for sure.
So let's talk about some of the negatives. Some guys who pooped in their big boy pants.
Yes.
You're welcome.
Yeah, that's your favorite.
That's
like your favorite thing.
Well, and we're gonna, that's it's a great title. You're welcome.
Yeah.
You're welcome, everybody. So Trevor Lawrence, 25 for 37, 315, and a touchdown, but fumbled 3 times.
Yeah, and they were very untimely fumbles for them.
They still came out with the W. They won back-to-back weeks in London, but just when you think that they're kind of like figuring things out, you see something like this. Do you think Trevor Lawrence is going to be okay? Do you think?
Yeah.
Are you a believer in this offense?
Yeah, I mean, he's top 10 quarterback in the league. He had, as far as turnovers go this game, he didn't have a good game, But, by the way, I hate everything about the way that the Bills went about traveling to London because
yeah, what's up with that?
They took a red-eye flight, first of all, and you mentioned something to me that there's like scientific like research that's been done, like the whole thing, but like logically thinking,
it sounds terrible.
Like, you're gonna take a red-eye flight and then you're only gonna spend 2 days getting acclimated to the time change and all of that stuff, and then you're gonna play an NFL football game against a team that's been there for 2 weeks. If it were me, if it was my decision, I would have left. If you were gonna take a red eye, leave Monday because you played Sunday, so leave Monday. Or if you're just gonna take a regular flight, leave Tuesday. At the latest, leave Tuesday. Spend Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday there, practice there, and then you're acclimated, because even Stephon Diggs came. They were interviewing him before the game because I was watching the pregame stuff, and they said when Josh Allen came out of the hotel on Sunday morning, he said he looked really sleepy, and he was like, "Are you all right, man?" And Stephon Diggs said, "Yeah, he's gonna be fine. He's gonna be fine." And he came out and he ended up having a decent game, not a great game, but a decent game. But like, just a situation like that, like why do that?
Yeah, it's one of those things where I'd rather, like you said, avoid the whole thing.
Yeah.
Give yourself every opportunity to get acclimated to the thing. But
Right.
listen, this was about Trevor.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be okay. Someone who I don't think is that great, someone that you touched on, Mr. Dak Prescott. I think he's the most overrated quarterback
By far, it's not
in the league. Yeah.
It's not close at all. I mean, I can't even think of somebody that's even close to as overrated as Dak Prescott is. Can you name somebody that is closely overrated? Like, because he's massively overrated.
No, you ask most people, they're going to say he's in the top 10, and I don't.
Yeah, I don't think so.
So I think ultimately the Cowboys play up. They don't play up to their competition. And look, the 49ers are going to kill everybody. We've already said that. 49ers are the best team in the NFL. But the bottom line is that the Cowboys, they have an elite defense, but their offense with Mike McCarthy calling the offensive plays, it's not cohesive. It's not. You had the best offense in the league last year, and then you got to get rid of somebody. And they move on from the OC, and now here we are with Mike calling the plays. What is going on?
Well, Jerry Jones is in love with Dak Prescott, bottom line. And so I don't think that there's going to be a change there or even a thought of a change there. So I agree with you about Mike McCarthy. It started to go downhill in Green Bay towards the end of his tenure there, and that's why he was ultimately let go. So obviously he's got to be an issue. So where do you go when you have the talent? Because they have so much talent around them. Pollard, Lamb, even Cooks is still a good receiver.
Gallup is still
doing his thing. Good. They have a good tight end. Ferguson, he's a good tight end.
Yeah.
So and you can't really blame the offensive line that much because their offensive line is decent, if not a top 10 offensive line in the league. So you're really looking at the pieces around, and you're just like, okay, well, we can't point the blame there. So really, the person left, but we're not going to point the blame there. So I just think it's one of those like scenarios where they're just like kind of stuck unless they figure it out with maybe a different coach. Because I think McCarthy's his time is limited. He doesn't have a whole lot of time left if he doesn't make something happen.
You're going to have to move on, I think, at the end of the day, because as you said, they're not going to get rid of Dak. Just like they didn't want to move on from Zeke, but that's Jerry Jones loved Zeke too. So it's
had to though.
Right.
It was just he's definitely lost a step.
Tony's got the juice.
Yeah,
he does.
For sure.
He's got the juice.
Yeah, for sure.
But let's talk about JT, Jonathan Taylor, only 6 for 18, but only played 15% of snaps.
Right.
Zach Moss has looked great.
Oh, Zach Moss? Yes. Zach Moss on the fantasy team this week. Thank you. Yes.
Just when I thought I had escaped.
Nope, you're not done.
That's okay. That's unfortunate. But yeah, he's looked super solid. How do you feel the percentage and usage of Jonathan Taylor is going to be moving forward when you've got a guy that's been efficient as Zach has been?
Yeah, I mean, easing him back in, obviously. I think it's going to turn more to a committee backfield than it has historically. I mean, even when Hines was there with JT, Hines got some looks. I mean, he was a big-time receiving back out of the backfield for them, but it was still predominantly Jonathan Taylor's backfield. It feels a little different, don't you think, with Zach Moss?
I think we were talking about how long Zach's leash is going to be moving forward. Is he going to fumble once and then JT is going to get all the usage? Yeah. Is he's going to drop a ball or get railroaded and then that's going to be it? It's tough to say. Obviously, Jonathan Taylor's the one with the talent. It's the one that they're paying the most money to. But you're going with the hot hand, and with JT coming off what he came off of, easing him back into this makes the most sense.
Yeah, I think we're going to get a better idea of what's going to happen going forward, especially against better competition because they play the Jaguars this week. That's for first place in the division. I know it's early, but still, it's a big game. Jaguars just beat the Bills. They're going to be coming back from London, so we'll see how much that affects them. But we'll see if Zach Moss's leash is a little shorter because of the competition, and now that JT's has a game under his belt. It'll be interesting to see.
For sure. Another one that we should touch on, Ramondre Stevenson, only 8 for 24. Look, the entire New England offense. What's the deal? What's going on? Yeah, it is. Offensive line.
So now, in my opinion, the question becomes because everything is just bad. Everything is looking bad for them. The question becomes if you're Robert Kraft, if you're not quite ready to move on from Bill Belichick altogether, I think the conversation at least has to be, look, Bill, you've kind of unfortunately put us in this position with your decision making as a GM. You're no longer the GM. You're not going to be making player personnel decisions any longer because you drove out Brady when he was clearly not falling off or not ready to go. He didn't want to go, and Belichick kind of forced his hand on that one. You've made these draft choices that are just very questionable. Haven't really built with the pieces that we need to make this thing successful. So you're not going to be making those decisions anymore. What say you?
I mean, I say we close the book and move on to the next chapter.
And it might be time for that.
I mean, I say, Bill, you've been great. Thank you for your service.
So does that conversation look more like, just because of relationship and how much he's given, is it just like, I think it's time for you to retire? Or is it like, if you don't retire, we are going to fire you?
I mean, just given the respect and the rapport that they have with one another, I think they would come to it in a sense of, hey, again, thank you for being here. Thank you for everything that you've given us and all that you've done. Don't let the door hit you on the way out.
No.
Because this isn't working.
No. I just don't see him straight up firing him. Like,
I don't think so either.
Yeah.
But that's yet to be seen.
Right.
Najee Harris.
Blech.
Yeah, man.
Whose backfield is it becoming?
Yeah, Mr. Jalen Warren.
Yeah. I mean, he looks way better than Najee Harris does right now.
He's got the juice.
And he's stronger. Like, that dude is like, he's a stud athlete.
Yeah, he looks great. He looks great. I think if you have a decision now and you've got a chance to start, well, I think you got to go with Jalen.
That Steelers team is so weird. Like 1 week they'll look really, really good, and you'll be like, okay, wow, this team is actually pretty decent. And then they'll just fall off the next week against a mediocre to bottom of the barrel team in the league, and you're just like, what are you guys doing? And so I can't really figure what do you make of the Steelers?
I just don't think they're a good team. I mean, I think offensively they're anemic. I think Kenny Pickett is not the answer.
Yes.
I think you've seen enough now to where we got to be looking elsewhere.
Is this going to be the first year that Mike Tomlin has a losing season? Because we thought the same thing last year, and they still came out 9-8 out of nowhere.
I'm gonna say yes.
Okay.
I'm gonna say you heard it here first.
All right. I think they still get a winning season out of it.
I mean, if anybody can do it, we know Mike can do it.
Yeah.
But I'm just not a believer, So at the end of the day, you got to have guys that can go out and execute. I don't think Kenny can.
Nah,
so,
yeah.
But yeah. So let's talk about some upcoming games that we really, really like this week matchup wise, and we're gonna have a little competition. You like to compete, so I've heard.
Oh yeah, especially against you.
Yeah, we've said that a few times. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna have a little competition to where we're gonna pick a game, and we're gonna choose a team that we like. Since you're the guest today, you have previously chosen the Dallas versus the Chargers, and I'm assuming you're gonna go with Dallas.
No, I'm going Chargers +2 in this one.
Chargers +2.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, I'm taking that side.
I will happily take Dallas, and when I say happily, I mean not happily at all.
And it's also to kind of just like punish you because I know that you just don't like Dak. So
yeah, that's great. More needles. That's great. I'm all about it. So the loser at the end of the season, when we go through these games, is going to get a pie in the face that'll be on camera.
Yes.
In person.
Sam will get a pie in the face at the end of the season.
Blake will receive a pie, a rubber chicken, and other paraphernalia
to throw in Sam's face. Yeah.
In your face. Yes. Well, listen, guys. That's going to wrap us up. The picks are still going to be on Patreon, so if you haven't followed us already, you can search Grunt Squad on Patreon. Just $10 a month to get you all the picks each and every week. Blake, thank you so much for coming on, and until next time, guys, we're signing off. Thank you.
See you.